We are live. Yes. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. I am Nina, and today, as you can see by the video title, we are going to be talking about the wounded feminine, and we're going to be discussing the different traits and qualities of the wounded feminine. And of course, I'm going to give you a very short crash course from my perspective on how to deal with it, right? How to heal your wounds as the feminine. Obviously, our wounds are all different. So it's not going to be like a one size fits all type of um, method. I'm just going to be sharing my journey with my wounded feminine and hoping that it will help other women that are walking this journey, help them to just kind of navigate the wounds, right? Because we pretty much all have them. We pretty much all have wounds coming from whatever background, whatever childhood, event. We all have some level of that we are holding on to and struggling with. It's a very normal thing for the human experience. So there's really nothing unique about it. Nothing unique. You may feel like your particular circumstances are unique, and that may be true to an extent, but like I'm saying, we've all been through some sort of traumatic event. So trauma is not really something new to the human experience. Everybody has their, fair share. So I think moving from that premise, then you kind of have space to figure out that, well, if other people have been in this situation and gotten out, which a lot of people have, then I should be able to get out of this situation too. Let me figure out what it is that they knew that I can learn to better myself, better my situation. So I'm going to share with you, firstly, some personality traits or characteristics that you may have or identify with that are coming from your wounded self. And this is not necessarily to call you out, but when you bring awareness to certain things, it starts becoming easier to understand what's going on, right? When you know what's happening, it's easier for you to see it, if that makes sense, rather than just operate on autopilot because you really have no understanding of what's going on. So I'm going to share those characteristics, and then I'm also going to share my journey through healing my wounds, what really helped me and continues to help me, because we're people, we're always evolving, we always make mistakes, and we always learn from them, and we're basically here to become our best self. So we are going to go through some dark nights of the soul where things are just really um, not nice, to say the least. And I also want to say this is definitely part of the feminine journey as well. I know the masculine has their own wounds and their own journey, and us all being made of masculine and feminine traits, there is masculine wounding as well, probably in most of us. So, but I'm focusing specifically on the feminine, and it is important to acknowledge where you are hurt, where you are wounded, because that's usually where most of your growth is going to happen. And once that starts happening, you really move to the next level. And I think for me, the premise for healing, the premise for leveling up, even, is just my personal philosophy of always seeing myself becoming a better person. Like, that's my lifestyle. I'm always striving to be better than I was yesterday, whether it's in how I do my work, whether it's in how I organize my life, whether it's in how I take care of my health, whatever it is, I really strive to be better today than I was yesterday. And I really make a lot of decisions from that place. So I'm always looking for where's the growth. I'm always looking for how can I best represent myself here today. I'm always looking to really explore my own potential and realize as much of it as possible. That is where I'm moving from. And I feel like when you get to a place where you're trying to be better than yourself, then it becomes easier to heal because you're always looking for ways to be better, right? It's just natural. It's like one and the same thing. As you heal, you become better. As you become better, your potential to heal also increases. Your will to heal increases as well. So that's kind of the premise that we're going to move from. It might be a bit of a long video because it is quite deep. So bear with me. I have my notes over here as usual. So if you need to go get your notes, then go ahead and do that. I've got a smoothie going on in my flask. It's been like cold the whole day, which is amazing. All right, so let's jump into it. I have made a video before about feminine characteristics and feminine qualities, and that's more like the positive aspect, right? So the wounded feminine is usually very irresponsible when it comes to emotions. She believes that her happiness is someone else's responsibility. She believes that her security, excuse me, is someone else's responsibility. She believes that she has no obligation to be emotionally mature in a situation. She has every right to go through it, to go through all the emotions and to go through it in whatever fashion she sees fit at that point in time. This is also very much a victim mentality where you're so obsessed with what other people are doing or have done and have done to you that you're actually unable to see your part in the bigger scheme of things. And you really want to get to a place, ladies, where you see your part in everything that happens around you, which is basically what I talk about in most of my content when I speak about manifesting and law of attraction, is that you cannot show up as an emotionally unstable person or irresponsible, emotionally unstable, or emotionally irresponsible. You cannot show up as that and expect results that give you stability. That's what you want. And when you're doing certain things, that's what you're trying to achieve. But you cannot achieve emotional stability outside. You have to achieve emotional stability inside. It actually gets to a point where your biggest lessons come, or your biggest growth comes when situations around you are hectic, but you are able to find that equal equilibrium or that stable ground within yourself despite what's going on outside. That's what a lot of people call spiritual power, being able to discipline your emotions so much that you're not even hardly affected by what's happening outside. You are in control of how you feel because it's always a choice anyway. So if you choose to show up as irresponsible because you don't want to do the work, or if you choose to do the work so that you can have emotional stability and actually enjoy your life, either way, it's a choice. You're choosing one or the other. And when you're in your wounded feminine, you don't understand that you're making a choice. You're just like, oh, things are so unfair. Why do things like this always happen to me? Things like this happen to everybody all the time. People just deal differently, and you need to learn to deal differently if you want different results. Nobody can want this for you. You have to want it for yourself. If you want different results from what you have been getting, then you have to show up different because you cannot get something outside of yourself that you don't already possess inside of you. Okay? So that's number one. Emotional irresponsibility. Number two, if you are in your wounded feminine, you have very little regard for boundaries. Boundaries is not something that you are well versed in. In fact, you are very prone to violate boundaries. And it's very ironic because the same people that cry victim are the same ones that are violating other people's boundaries. Do you see what I mean? So just because you don't want to take responsibility, you can cry victim, but if you are also violating someone else's boundaries, then do you really have a right to cry victim? So the wounded feminine will violate, first of all, her own boundaries by taking behavior, treatment, making choices that put her in a position where she does not want to be, right? So, say for example, you're dating somebody that doesn't really show you the level of respect that you feel you deserve. You choosing to stay with that person, you are violating your boundaries because you're going against the part of you which is probably the higher version of you. You're going against that is saying to you, you deserve better. And you're staying in a situation that makes you feel horrible. You're violating your own boundaries. Then you start violating other people's boundaries because they hurt you. So you start feeling like have a right to do whatever to other people because they are hurting you. You are violating other people's boundaries. So you've violated your own, you've violated probably your partner's boundaries. And if you are that girl and you took it there, you're violating as many people's boundaries as you can. And that's really one of the things that is so characteristic of a wounded feminine is the belief that people owe you something. And it's your responsibility to go and get that something. And you force yourself on people. And you force your values on people. And you force your emotions on people and you cry victim while you're doing it, it's not nice, but it's the truth. If you are not ready to honor your own boundaries and honor other people's boundaries, you are not the victim at that point. You're the other person. Number 3, trying to control everything, trying to control everyone, but refusing to control yourself. Now, the wounded feminine has a psychology of being owed something, being, oh, I'm not going to do A, B, and C until this person acts right, or until that situation goes away, or blah, blah, blah. And what you need to understand is this is life. There are so many variables right now, and you can never control what happens outside of your, like, this is where you begin and this is where you end. Okay, energetically, maybe not, but let's just put it in a very two-dimensional kind of way. This is where you begin, this is where you end. The only person you should be trying to control, the only circumstance you should be trying to control is what goes on inside your brain, what goes on inside of your emotions, what's going on inside of your body, what's going on inside of your psyche. That is your responsibility. That's your territory. That's your jurisdiction. You don't get to step outside of that and go and try and control someone else's jurisdiction. You don't do that. It's like the army, right? There's rules about where the boundaries are. This is whoever's turf, this is whoever's turf. And if you are caught doing A, B, and C, do what you got to do wherever you are. Soon as you cross over to my side, I have every right to eliminate you, essentially, because now you are inside my territory. Do what you got to do from your turf. And that's the same thing that you need to think about, ladies, is that if you are not trying to do the work of figuring yourself out, but you want to figure out other people, you're not even doing damage to other people, you're doing damage to yourself, quite frankly. Because not only are you wasting time, energy, and effort on something else that you'll never be able to even understand, let alone control, you could be taking all of that energy, investing it into yourself, growing, becoming a better person, and leveling up and moving forward. But you choosing to stay where you are, where you know is not where you're comfortable, but you're forcing yourself for whatever reason to stay there, and then you're making it someone else's problem because you don't want to control yourself and make the right decisions for yourself. So you'd rather now try and make other people responsible for your comfort. And the cold, hard truth is that you can't do that. You can't. I mean, you can bully a couple of people into doing whatever it is that you want them to do, no problem. But like I'm saying, how much time, energy, and effort are you willing to invest chasing situations and circumstances and people where you could just be sitting in one place and working out whatever it is inside you that is either attracting these situations or that is forcing you to stay or that is making you believe there are no other options or whatever, wherever you're at. You could be sitting down and figuring that out and making progress in that direction. A year later, your circumstances are different. It's a choice. It's like if we both leave from here and you go in a straight line and I just take 1 degree, we end up in very different places. So when you change your mind by just 1 degree, I'm going to stop focusing out there. I'm going to stop trying to control him. I'm going to stop trying to control them. I'm going to control myself. I'm going to figure out how to control myself. And that's the journey that we're actually on this channel, is we are taking that responsibility of saying, if I don't like my circumstances, how do I change them? I change my circumstances by changing me. What about me needs to change? How am I showing up that is in contradiction to what I say I want? I say I want a peaceful, happy life, but I'm showing up with drama. I say I want love and happiness in my life, but I'm unable to bring love and happiness into my own awareness, into my own existence, into my own life, into any day. I can't be happy on a Monday. I have to wait for Friday to be happy. Do you know what I mean? But I want happiness to come and find me. You have to become it. You have to control yourself if you want a different circumstance. Unfortunately, the only way is inside. There's no other way. All right, so that was number 3. Number 4 is, if you are in your wounded feminine, you probably don't really have joy in your life. You don't have something that helps you cultivate joy within you. Now, joy is not about jumping up and being happy 24/7. For me, joy, maybe not joy, maybe contentment, but we'll use the word joy. That is something that, like happiness, it's very fundamental to your feminine journey. And it's super crucial for you to learn how to voluntarily bring that emotion into your reality. You cannot wait until something happens for you to feel joy. You cannot wait until you get into that relationship. You cannot wait until your man starts acting right. You cannot wait until you get $1 million. You cannot wait until you get to, a certain weight. You cannot wait for circumstances to just change around you before you allow yourself to feel joy, before you allow yourself to feel happiness, before you allow yourself to be content with your life. Now, being content and being joyful doesn't mean you don't want more. It just means you're able to be where you are and you're able to be grateful for where you are, because where you are, there is joy and contentment there with you, whether it's ideal situations or unideal. You're still able to find joy. That's why, ladies, I stress hobbies so much. I honestly believe that the more involved you are in some sort of hobby, some sort of activity that innately brings you joy, right? For me, it's dancing. I love dancing. And that is something that I do because I know that not only do I love doing the actual activity, but it also brings me happiness. I'm happy when I'm dancing. Some people, it's painting. For some people, it's cooking and baking. For some people, it's, going for a massage. That's me as well. But you know what I mean? Whatever your hobbies are, whatever makes you feel good, whether it's labeled as self-care, whether it's a sport, whether whatever. The point over here is that you want to have control over your joy. So find out what it is that really makes you happy and deliberately inject that into your life. Deliberately add that to your um, schedule. Add that to your diary. Make sure every day, every week, every month, you are doing something that puts some sort of joy inside of your life. That is your responsibility. People don't have to make you happy. People don't have to be there for you. People don't have to be honest to you. Your man can lie to you. I'm not saying it's right, but it happens, okay? You cannot allow that to take away how you feel about yourself. If you are at that person's mercy or at the mercy of life, every time the wind blows this way, you're sad, and it blows that way, now you're happy. If you're giving that much power to someone else, like I said earlier, it's a choice. But you can really cultivate joy, cultivate happiness, create a life that you love. One day at a time, one activity at a time, one step at a time. And another side note that I want to make is do things that help trigger your feel good hormones, right? Those, that's what you want to be running around in your body. So massages are great for that. Nice hot showers are great for that. Cold showers are actually great for that. And I'm doing a little experiment with cold showers. Once I have collected enough data, I will make a video on that. What else? Shopping releases endorphins. There's so many things that you can do. Exercising releases endorphins. There's certain foods that you can eat that make you feel good, right? Like dark chocolate, that's really good, a nice superfood. It's good for you, and it also kicks. I'm pretty sure. Let me just Google. I'm pretty sure it kickstarts your endorphins. Let me see for a minute. Dark chocolate. Let's do some research real quickly. Let's see. Okay, so it says tryptophan or tryptophan. I don't know, child. An amino acid present in small quantities in chocolate is linked to the production of serotonin, a neurotransmitter that produces feelings of happiness. See, chocolate makes you genuinely happy. Having dark chocolate can increase serotonin levels in our system that boost our mental health. So if you feel horrible, get yourself some dark chocolate. That will instantly boost how you feel. And it's good for you. Serotonin makes a good antidepressant, so you don't even need to get pharmaceuticals. I'm not a doctor, so don't take my opinion as law. And releases tension going on inside the body. So, yeah, get yourself some dark chocolate, girl. Come on, get it together. You want to produce happy hormones in your body, all of that good stuff, right? So if you're in your wounded feminine and you don't have things that you are adding to your routine that make you feel good, start looking at that and do one thing a day and then two things a day and then just add, however many you can, so that you have more feel good hormones running around your body than point number 5, stress hormones. If you're in your wounded feminine, you are riddled with anxiety, stress, depression, just negative, dense emotions. You're full of resentment. You're just a mess, a hot mess. And those hormones going through your body are also like so bad for you. You know, stress is one of the biggest killers. It leads to everything else. The breakdown of everything in your body can directly be linked to stress. So if you're not able to get your stress levels under control, you are not just sad, you are causing destruction to your entire body system, to your brain, to your nervous system. Anxiety is inside of your nervous system. And yes, I know there are situations that trigger you, that make you feel anxious. Absolutely. Absolutely. And we all have them. I've just come out of one. Trust me, I know exactly. And one of the biggest lessons I had to learn inside of that was, okay, so if the wind blows this way and the next day it blows that way, where am I in all of this? Am I a leaf that I will be blown this way and this way according to where the wind wants to blow? Or am I an actual human being who can choose how I want to feel regardless of how the wind blows? And you have to choose it, and you have to choose it every moment. When that anxiety goes up, you have to choose to say, okay, I see how much I'm affected by the situation. I can see that. I can feel it. I am very aware of that fact. But right now, I choose not to act on it. Right now, I will walk around with it. Right now, I will actually even invite this anxiety to have a seat. I'm not trying to chase you out. I'm not trying to deflect. I'm not trying to hot potato you onto someone else. Let me just get to know you a little bit. Just have a seat, because I know there's something inside of you, anxiety, that is a gift to me. And the more you do that, you create space. 5 minutes, you sit with it for 5 minutes. Then the next time you can sit with it for 10 minutes. Then the next time you see, oh, okay, it's not as bad as I thought. And miraculously, it disappears. Now, I'm not a therapist either, so don't take this as clinical, advice or whatever. But for me, that's kind of how I've been able to really navigate negative emotions, anxiety especially, is that I do my best to understand that going through it is going to be the quickest way. Trying to get around it, trying to avoid it, trying to suppress it, trying to push it onto someone else, trying to make it someone else's fault, even if it is caused by someone. There's something inside it that is a gift directly for me. I will sit with it. I will try and understand it. I will do whatever it is that I know I need to do to help me manage it as well at the same time. I'm not just going to let it just fester, right? But my focus is on me and this emotion inside me. Sometimes I won't want to speak to people for a couple of days because I just want to sit with this and really get it. If I need to journal, if I need to meditate, if I need to, whatever it is that I need to do, right? That's what I'm going to do. Until I have enough space, I've created enough space between me and the feeling, or me and the circumstance, that I feel like, okay, I can start seeing my options. I can choose to respond like this. I'm no longer reacting. I can choose to respond like this, or I can choose to respond like this. I see the different options now. Whereas 5 minutes ago or 5 days ago, I could not see these different options because me and the anxiety were so on top of each other. Now that I've given myself some space and some grace, okay, I see my options. Interesting. And that can change your whole life. There's someone that I follow. I can't really remember who it is. That said, prison is full of people who could not control their emotions. Now, I know circumstances are different, everybody's circumstance is different in jail, but more or less, if you understand where this is going, is that most people act on some sort of impulse, and the repercussions are way bigger than, you know, what the impulse was probably even worth. And right now, when they look back, now that there's space between them and that event or them and that emotion, now they can see all of the different ways that they could have dealt with this or avoided it or talked about it or sat with it one more day, whatever. Now they're like, oh man, I could have just. Desperation, spiraling, all of these negative emotions, ladies, it's from your wounded feminine. And all it means is that there's something in there that needs your attention. That's literally all it means. It does not mean now go and, you know, fight everybody that you can find. It means there's something in here for you. It's like when your phone rings, you can't go and chase down, people down the street trying to figure out who's calling you. You have to pick it up from your end. Then the message comes through. Same thing. When you are triggered, go inside the trigger. Don't be out here trying to prevent triggers. It's not realistic. That's not how life works. You can never avoid life. It happens the way that it happens. And you can learn and grow and evolve and create a better life for yourself, um, just by, healing. All right. So I'm going to end this live stream because it's very long. And then I'll get back on in a couple of minutes, and talk about what healing the wounded feminine actually looks like. So I will see you there for part 2.